Okay. Um. So I yeah, I guess we'll just start. So today we're going to learn. Does that pop up? Okay, no. So today I'm going to try to teach whoever's watching this how to draw monsters um, from scratch, like your own monster. So I guess first off, the best thing about drawing monsters is that you don't have to use actual human proportions. So basically, like a normal human would be like, like I don't know, a regular human. You know what humans look like. Um, so basically, you can really have your proportions anyway, which kind of makes monsters like the easiest thing to draw because it can look not like a human and you can still have something that looks cool. So we're going to have like a normal shaped head, I guess. Actually, we're going to use something lighter so it's not so dark. Um, so I guess, yeah, we'll start about here. And I want my monster to kind of be slouching. So basically, his shoulders are going to be like pretty much right behind his head. It's going to look like he basically has no neck. Um, so from here, you'll pretend the neck is here, and you have like the clavicles, which are your collarbones, and then you'll have like the big chest. This is just a skeleton, by the way, so this is what you'll want to start with, and you can either copy along with me or you can try to do your own thing in your own pose. So basically, the I guess we'll do it how it's supposed to be done. The trying to think of what this line is called. It's like the movement line, I guess, or motion line or something like that. Um, let's grab this whole thing and shrink it a little bit. Move it up. Okay, so basically, this line kind of represents. Oh, whoops. Kind of represents the curve of the whole thing. Like the curve it's doing. So here is going to be the pelvis, which I actually want really small in comparison. So we'll actually just erase this. Erase this line here. We want the pelvis pretty small. It's going to be kind of cartoonish in the size difference between his upper and lower halves. Um, so basically, you just kind of draw your monster however you want to. Um, I'm drawing mine like this. He's gonna have kind of like dog leg looking thing, like at least how dog legs are shaped. Um, this isn't really like a how-to on poses and stuff, because I mean, you don't even really need to know how to do that. You can just copy the same pose I'm doing. Right now, I'm just doing like a loose skeleton of what this thing is going to look like. You could just imagine the arm is actually behind this thing's body. So basically, I want the forearms and the shins, like the lower halves of the arms and legs, to be bigger than the upper halves. But just like I want his chest to be larger than his lower half, just to kind of really convey how huge this thing is. Okay, we're back. Sorry. So, forgot where I was. So I got interrupted. What was I saying? All right. Oh, this looks very not good. Yeah, I made the lower body a little too small actually. So I'm gonna go ahead and erase this. Um, so what was I saying? So, I kind of want that to pop out. This, his arm, it's gonna go here. Now I'm getting a little bit into some detail for like how the muscle shaping is gonna be. That's just because it looked kind of, I don't know, barren or plain or something. So so you can really draw your monsters however you want them to be. You can draw them like the proportions at least. Like you can make it sort of like this, but with a slimmer body this way. You can make it shorter if you'd want. It's really up to you on that. The best thing is that you don't really need to know anatomy to draw a monster like this. You could really not know anything about that, and you would still be perfectly fine because, like I said earlier, monsters aren't people. So you can get away with messing up a lot more with monsters than you could with an actual person, like a character, like person that you're drawing in comparison. So I actually do sort of know a little bit about muscle structure for drawing, so I actually am kind of drawing it sort of how muscles look, with some exception. Um, his leg is kind of twisting in a weird S motion, sort of, and it's also like a dog leg in a way, kind of. Well, not really actually, because I kind of drew his leg doing this sort of thing, and dog legs do this sort of thing. They're like they come out and then they curve back, which is not really, well, I guess it's just really what I did there. I don't know. Maybe I'm just making this up as I go. I actually am. So, let's see, that's the knee. I feel like that's a little bit too small, which is why you want to do the skeleton before you start adding detail. That way you know your pose is right, like it is in your mind. For instance, this arm is also too big in comparison to this arm over here. So I'm just going to make that a little bit smaller. Not sure if I actually even did just now, but you know, what are you going to do? So see, like the shoulder is smaller here. I actually should make it bigger over here. So it's got a pretty large shoulder. These here are your shoulder, like top of your shoulder muscles. Like this is obviously your shoulder here, but these are the muscles on your neck that lead up to your neck. So this monster's head, we're just gonna rough one in real quick. I really don't know how this thing's going to look in the end, but we're gonna have a sort of, I don't know. Actually, I don't think he's gonna have a neck. Let's give him like a, oh, we're just worried about the orientation of the face later. And then that's a fine shape to start with. I'm going to warn you now, I am making this up as I go, so if it doesn't look the best, that is, that's just what you get. Don't know what to say. So this here is like the pelvic line. So your abs would go here if you have abs, or if your monster has abs. This here would be your rib cage. here. This would be the chest. I made the chest abnormally large on this guy. Normally your chest obviously wouldn't be this big, but especially not in comparison to the rest of his proportions. I'm kind of debating on a tail for this guy, but I kind of really want him to look more sunken in than this. Like, I want to be able to see his pelvic bone, or not pelvic bone. What do you call this? I guess the hip bone. Yeah, I want to be able to see the hip bone way more than any other part of the abdomen. I really want it to stand out. Okay. So, 1 second, let me just take a look at something here. What's up, Brittany? How you doing? I don't know when you posted that, so I don't know how long it's been, but what's up? What's I saying? Yeah. So I've actually never drawn anything dog-like before either, so the feet I'm kind of just winging right now. Of course, I've drawn monsters and stuff, but never something like really animal-like. But again, you can just kind of do whatever you want because proportions don't matter whenever you're making a monster, unless it's something you're drawing over and over again, like for, I don't know, a character for something. Then it'd probably be kind of important to get your proportions down at least for the second time. You know, like after you've already created it. It's kind of difficult to nail this. I probably shouldn't have started adding detail without having this down for if I didn't like the pose, but I guess I'm stuck with it now, so I'll have to make it do. I guess I'll just put it up more in front like this at the knee there, and try it like this. Yeah, this one's looking better than the other one. Sure. Oh, that's good. So yeah, this is kind of like the rough, really rough, I'd say, really rough sketch, I guess, of what your creature would look like or could look like if you did it like me, which again, completely up to you on what it looks like. All right, that did not work. Wow, that was a lot. Okay. So we're zooming in here now. Actually, let's see if I can zoom in better. Yeah, there we go. So now I'm gonna kind of use I guess I'll use a blue. Yeah, I'll use a blue for this part, so it'll stand out. And that did not work. Okay, for real this time, I'll use blue. Yeah, okay. So now we're just gonna kind of do an actual like shape of what you want your creature's head to look like. So here on the sides of the face, this isn't really a tutorial on how to actually draw, but more how to like piece proportions together a little bit. So, but you can actually, I'm going to do this on a new layer. So there we go. That way whenever I erase it, I want to erase our outline on the bottom. And okay, so these lines right here that I'm drawing on this side, these are the cheekbones. This guy's kind of looking off that way. His line of sight is that way. This here is his neckline, and when these are the he sort of has a hunchback, which is why I wanted to draw his muscles so high up on like behind his head, which kind of makes him look really big and buff, but it also shows that he's kind of hunched over, giving him like gigantic basketball shoulders. Move this over a little bit so I can get over to the muscles a little more. So this here is going to be like the muscle on the back of your arm. And then here there is a muscle in between that muscle here and your bicep here. Your bicep actually connects right here at the where your shoulder muscle hits your arm. If you are like lean and muscular, so it would look like this sort of. So then you'd have your elbow here, a crease line for the inside of the elbow, and this is where the forearm begins. Now the forearm usually is shaped like this. It usually kind of goes into a hand here, but on this guy I'm drawing them sort of big all around, just really big, not really shaped like a human's would be, which is completely fine since it's not a human. Nobody would really care. It wouldn't really make somebody look twice or think twice about it. So I'm actually going to do sort of a skeleton of the hand. So we'll start with the wrist here. We're just going to go up. And this here's going to be like the palm of the hand. So then we'll start doing fingers, which the fingers I think are going to be super long. So we'll start with the pinky. That way the rest of them look like they should as far as the size goes. Also, that's fine. These are where the other bones are, and then the thumb. For sort of the cartoony look that I'm going for, I think we're gonna make the thumb just really big, or at least I am. You can again do your stuff however you want to do it. What kind of Pokemon is this? It's funny. So this is actually one of the new Pokemon. He hasn't been released yet. Let's see. Okay, so usually you want to do like a brow line for. Yeah. Here, which is basically this line here is going to be where his eyes are. So you want a line that distinguishes the cheekbone from the eyebrow line. So it'll basically, the eyebrow will come down like this, making the eyes look more menacing. So the brow line on this guy is actually going to be big, like really big, like way bigger than a human being's eyebrow would be. Yeah, so we're gonna rough that in like this, like just really big. you're pretty much barely going to be able to see this dude's eyes. And you don't even have to give your guy eyes or a face. It could just be a faceless dude, like if you want to do like some weird shit like that, which is perfectly fine because again, it's not a person, so nobody would care to see something like that. They wouldn't be like, "Oh, hey, that's not proportional. That's not what people look like. The legs are too small, or humans have a face and don't give me nightmares or whatever." So, um, and usually with muscular structure, I know I said this isn't a video about it, but it's just to, I guess, give pointers since that's kind of what this video's purpose is. Usually, the chest muscle is kind of, it's basically it looks like it goes right under your armpit here, but like at the top of it. So it'll start from here, and it'll kind of go down, and it actually goes sort of up in the middle here, making like a upside down V, like almost like an arrow in the middle here where your two pectorals, meet. And there's also muscle fibers, which I always draw for some reason. I draw these little lines here. Um, so also for the ribs, you just kind of want to do like a weird sideways Y. And that'll pretty much get the rib look going. That part's pretty easy. You can also do lines here that kind of mimic the shape of the outline, I guess. I don't know if I'm using the correct words here. Um, yeah. So this is the abdomen. It's kind of just like really small, cartoonish. Um, I'm not giving this thing abs because it's supposed to look like pretty much malnourished or something. So I'm just gonna kind of give it like fold lines that it's hunched over, which I did not draw or even allude to with the pose. So we'll see how that goes. So what I'm gonna do here is let me zoom in a little bit. Like I mean, I don't really need to, but so here, this is obviously this part here is the hip bone. But what I'm gonna do with this is make it look like it's wrapping around the back of him, so it doesn't look so flat. So I'm making the his side, the line, meet here, but not meet with this line here. Just kind of have it all hovering. Don't really connect any of it. So that way it looks like the hip bone is wrapping around to the back of him, which it kind of would be, especially since on this guy we have bigger hip bones than usual. They're a little exaggerated. So I don't really know what I was doing with this shape here. That's not really what they look like. And by they I mean your calves. But again, that doesn't really matter because it's not a human, so you can do literally whatever you want. I am gonna kind of make it look more humany. Actually, nah, screw it. You know what? I'm just gonna ignore those lines. I'm actually gonna make it more, or try. I've never actually done that before, but I'm gonna try to make it more animal-like. So it's just kind of gonna be like what you're seeing now. It's just gonna be kind of weird, wavy. Yeah, I don't know. Never done animals before, so I'll just wing that. It doesn't really look like a human or an animal, so that's fine. This is honestly kind of cartoony and strange looking, but that's kind of what I was going for. I wasn't really going for a realistic looking monster. Otherwise, I would have done something like that. But you know, it doesn't really matter because it's all pretty much up to you, the artist, whatever you want the thing to look like, as long as you're happy with what it looks like. So we've got this here. This is the knee. I actually kind of made it like a spike coming off the knee, so the knee would actually usually be like here, but I'm making like this big kind of horn that comes off of it. This is a crease between the thigh and the calf muscle. All right. So there we go. So this is the toes are kind of just big spikes at this point. I'm really kind of married to that cartoon look. So we're just gonna roll with that. The hand is still a skeleton for now. I haven't actually tried to do any hand stuff with it because.
You gonna eat or no?
Mm-mm.
Why not?
Because I'm not hungry.
What'd you eat?
Okay, so no, that's not what I want that to look like. Okay. So crease here. Yeah. So basically with the angle I want this hand, it's gonna be like kind of how you would normally see a hand. So this is actually gonna be the inside of the hand, not the outside, unless you want to give the guy two left hands, which I do not. So again, you could give your guy two left hands if you want. I guess to me that's a little overboard with the defying the rules, but you can do whatever you want. So basically, the thumb is going to be on this side just like the other hand. So we'll draw a skeleton for it, I guess. So basically, we're going to do like a sort of 3D shape here. This is kind of what it would look like. I don't know what. This is the face, this is the side, this is the bottom, this is the top. There should be another line there. There we go. That's more square than I wanted it to be. Okay. But whatever, that's just for you guys to help you guys map that out. Thumb muscles usually have 3 joints just like every other finger. Your third joint is actually like in your hand here. Oh shit, whoops. Did not mean to do that. Okay. So it's actually in your, so basically your skin would fold over this part. So that'd be in your skin. Then you'd have this, and then you'd have the tip of your thumb, right? So the rest of your fingers, the first bone is in your hand, just like the thumb. So they actually have an extra joint than the thumb. Of course, you can see that by looking at your hand, but it's something you have to understand if you do want to get anatomy sort of correct for whatever you're drawing, which I kind of do for this thing. You, again, you don't have to, but I kind of do want to. So basically, we're going to have it, actually, I want to change the angle that this arm is at. I want it to kind of be more outward and not so close to him. it feels like it's too close. Like it just feels too stiff. So let's just do a little. We'll have it like this. It's gonna kind of be going backwards, and then we'll have the whole forearm thing here, like that. Make it bigger because that's how I have his forearms. And then his bicep here, the back of his arm. And yeah. So that's the joint there. Joint. His hand is going to be like this. So now his fingers, I'm going to do his pinky smaller than the other one since it's a hand that's further back. Yeah. So his thumb is actually going to be sticking out that way and then going up like that. Again, this is also still a skeleton. It's not sort of sketched out like the rest of him. Okay, let's get to his face before I start the hands. His hands are kind of difficult for most people. Well, I say most people, that's not true, but hands are one of the more difficult things to draw. So I don't really start with those. Those are kind of the last thing I want to get to. So actually what I forgot, because for some reason I'm a dum-dum, you would have an ear here. And it would not look like this. Your jaw would eventually end, and it would lead up to your ear. And a thing to remember is your ear is usually at the top of your eye line and the bottom of your nose. So his nose is going to be here, the same size as his ear. That's just a good thing to keep in mind. Okay, and your head would actually go behind your ear, like this. Actually, you know what? We can make a big dude with a piece of his head gone. I don't know how to draw a brain, so we'll do it like S shapes, like spaghetti. Sure, that looks fine. Okay. Big brow, big dude. Okay. So his forehead. Yeah, that looks fine. Zoom in on the face a little bit. His nose is going to be sort of like. You can draw his nose however you want, or you don't even have to have a nose. You can do a dog nose or a cat nose, whatever. I've never drawn a dog nose. I'd imagine it's something like this. Anyway, you could draw like a big dude's nose, like this big scary guy. Or you can draw a small nose, more like that. Or like a Caucasian nose, like that, more pointed. Or whatever. Or, you know, or a skeleton nose, or whatever. I think we're going to give the guy sort of like a neutral nose. Not really anything fancy, just something like that. And his eyes, I wasn't kidding earlier. They're just going to kind of be like barely visible through his brow. He's going to have a really sunken in face, which I need to reflect there. Still going to have like a big jaw though, so. You know what? I also want to give him kind of a chin like this, where it has a little like dimple here. And we'll give him a slightly opened mouth, I think. Slightly opened. like he's kind of mindless. Yeah. Okay. Actually, I don't like the way I did the hand over here, so we're gonna redo that. I do want it facing this way, so we're gonna have the thumb, the pinky, the this one, yeah, this finger. There we go. And then the pinky, and then the thumb. There we go. And I'm going to give him the lines that make it look like a hand. There we go. That's an okay hand. You know, it really does look weird like this, so I'm gonna kind of make these go bigger. I feel like if you're gonna do it, you might as well go big or go home. So we're gonna give him like super huge, like really fucking cartoony forearms. I just like the way that looks. Don't know why. Okay. And there we go. Gigantic forearms. And I do kind of want to give him like a elbow spike, which would be like there, I guess. Yeah. Okay, so I think it's looking a little better. I don't like this arm really, so or the top of it at least. So I'm gonna make it go wider. I'm gonna have yeah. Okay. Slightly larger than usual. There we go. It's gonna be like that. Okay, cool. Alright. So if we hide the bottom layer, this is what we have now. It does not look very good, but it roughly outlines the detail. Actually, we're going to finish this hand first. Then we'll get to that. So knuckle there, knuckle there, knuckle there. 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. And then erase the inside of this. This is the top of the hand, so it's going to be like knuckle, 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 and then a line here. Okay. And then you also have your wrist bone there, there. Your thumb actually can't physically do that. It's got to be more like, which again doesn't really matter, but I want it to be a little bit more realistic, kind of. I mean, it's gonna look cartoony, but and okay, thumbnail. Let's see. Yeah, that's fine. Nah, I kind of like the old way I did the legs a little bit better, so I'm gonna just kind of go with that. This leg's a little too big anyway in comparison. Okay. And this would be sunken in too, actually. Or this would be sticking out, but this part would be sunken in more. A little bit more, like that. Okay. It's really big head for how. Actually, yeah, that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna grab his head and make his head smaller. feel like that would make it look less. Wow. Well. Oh, that's another problem here. This is way too big compared to the other one. Should slant down more like this. Okay. Let me see this. Hold on 1 second. Yeah, okay, that's good. So, no, I just don't like the head at all, so we're not going to do that. I think I want to. Well, I know I want to do a different head, so. Let me think. It's been almost an hour. Oh wow. Okay. Um. Hmm. We'll have more of a small head going on. Or how about this? We'll draw the head out here, and then we'll put it on. So we'll do a circle for the top of the head shape. Then we'll do this would be where an ear would go, sort of. Here, we'll do this. Eyeline, jaw. Ah, actually, you know what? Never really done one before, but we'll do a dog. If that sounded like a question, it's because it was. Never really drawn a dog before, but it's a first for everything. And I guess that's now. We'll do it like. This looks more like a horse, doesn't it? I've drawn a horse before. This is really difficult. I've never drawn a dog before. Well, whoops. All animals start off with the same basic concept as far as the shape of their whatever is. So, a dog would be like this. This would be the dog's eye. The other eye would be slightly hidden, if not entirely. And then you'll have, since it's a dog, the ear would be here, like this. Yeah. And then the other ear would be like, sure. And you'd have sort of a brow for a dog, right? Small brow, and then the nose is here. Oh, uh-oh. Oh, wait. Started glitching out for a second there. Okay. This is what a dog's face looks like, sure. Wrap it around, and then now you have a dog, sort of. And then that's big ass buff dog. I wanted it to be more menacing, but you know, you get what you get. This is sort of really cartoony. So we'll do the eye like that. And okay, actually like that. Yeah. I said it earlier, we're doing the full cartoon thing, so we're just gonna roll with it. You wouldn't see the other eye very much at all. So or well, depends. Sometimes that would connect, but we're gonna do this. And then this. I've seen people draw dogs, just never done it. Okay. Just give him a big ass vein going up his neck. Adam's apple, because he's a fucking giant dog head thing. Okay. We'll move this. Shrink it down and move it here. Actually, I don't know. Uh, Wait, actually, yeah, that looks good. Okay. Now I just, damn it. Okay. Now I just have to erase some of these inside lines from his body. Okay. This is a buff ass dog. These lines would go here. Yeah, this looks weird. How about we roll with it? I think I know what the problem is. Yeah, this was a strange shape. There we go. I don't really know. I don't like this at all. Okay, well, too bad. We're going with it. So, next we're going to do some line work for it. Yeah. Actually, you know what? Transfers the there's. Oh, what the hell? My bad. Okay. Alright, what we're actually gonna do is erase that. We're gonna come back over here. We're gonna do this right. We're gonna do what I like to call using reference because it makes life a billion times easier. So yeah, the head like that. This is the eye lines here. That wraps around. Get that. And another eye. That one. Jaw here. This goes all the way down. A little wider than that. Pretty much goes straight there. Teeth. Big ass teeth. Gums. Okay. That's way too rough at this point. So come back down. Gums. Right. And then we'll draw his skin. I don't know. His mouth skin. Yeah. It's a straight line there. We'll have it more like that. And then okay. Yeah. So the nose. Wow, that's actually way easier than I thought it would be. First time, by the way, drawing a dog. That looked like a pig nose. Okay, there we go. And mediocre, I guess. Let's see. That's the eye socket. And the brow is going to be here. But the way the eye's angled, it'll look like this. And then this brow's going to be like that. Yeah, got it. First try, am I right? Okay. Alright. Spent way too much time on this. And then a tongue here. I literally just looked up whatever werewolf picture I could find. And hair. 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 And then an ear. Which is a lot like the one I drew. Actually, it looks different from that, but I'm doing that. I'm actually gonna do more of like a yeah. No. Okay. Okay. Well, mm, I don't really like the pose much, but it's kind of what we got, so. Alright. Okay. So on the new layer, we're going to kind of make it completely different a little bit. Um, with we're going to use black now. And since you can do whatever you want, we're going to kind of change the pose we've been working on this whole time because it's a lame ass pose. We're only going to slightly change it a little bit. It's going to be pretty much the basic concept, but slightly different. Okay. Since we know it's a werewolf, what we're gonna do is put the shoulder here, drag the shoulders down there, make it a little better. Okay. So it's gonna be just as skinny in the middle, but we'll have a bicep here instead. We'll do that. The arm's actually gonna be out this direction more, like that. And we'll have the arm there just like that one is. Yeah. The leg's gonna be more dog-like, so knee here, and then the same foot, and then same foot. And then this arm is going to kind of be like how I originally had it pretty much. So it'll be bicep here, rest of the arm's kind of hidden actually. And this arm like this. And into an arm here, or a claw, my bad. Feet. Um, yeah. Okay. Okay. So what we're learning today is that it's actually pretty damn easy to make a dog look mad. Just really angry. Okay. This one looks angry, right? Yeah. Okay. Shoulders big, really big. Kind of what I wanted, kind of not exactly what I wanted, so. Okay. The rest is going to kind of just be like suggestion, right? So you'll have this. Sort of split there. Okay, so that took forever when we started with this, which was fine in concept, but then whenever we took it into reality, no. So yeah, we're just gonna do this. Now, how we clean this stuff up is we go as dark with the color as possible. Then we come in like this. Actually, if you couldn't tell, this is a werewolf. You could probably tell though, because they're not an idiot, probably. Okay. This is actually, believe it or not, it's way easier to draw on real paper than it is. I don't want that line there. Well, we've successfully done it, ladies and gentlemen. I did not remove the layer. Or I did not add a new layer. Okay. So I guess restarting on that. Okay. So right now I'm just kind of outlining the whole thing with like spiky lines like this to look like hair. Obviously, if that wasn't obvious. Not doing the hands because sometimes werewolves don't have hair on their hands, or like not all of the entire hand. They sort of have like half humany, kind of like monkey-ish hands. Of course, they still have like canine claws, but a lot of the time they have like human-ish hands. So we're gonna deal with that. I also have a knee there, which I don't know if I should have done that, but we'll see. So I guess this kind of shows you that let's see what that looks like real quick. Okay. Sort of shows you that whenever you aren't completely comfortable with doing your own poses, like I was not comfortable with this pose at all. I really don't like this one. It didn't do it for me. So whenever you find yourself in that situation, it's always 100% fine to just go online and look at reference, get a pose if you need a pose from that, because posing and getting physique and the right body and muscle structure for anything, even monsters, people, buildings, animals, whatever, it can be really difficult, especially if you haven't done it before. Because even if you do something with like no proportions, like an octopus, octopus don't really have proportions. You can kind of just, right? You can kind of just draw whatever you want, and it'll pretty much resemble an octopus. As you just do tentacles. Like obviously you make them look better than that, but you do tentacles with suction cups on them, and it looks like an octopus. But that's because it's something made out of just curves, and it's really easy to draw an octopus or a jellyfish for that. For example, to draw a jellyfish, that's really, really easy. I mean, this is cartoony as hell, but you understand what I mean. Okay, so and another thing to remember is this thing called the silhouette rule. Basically, you know your drawing is pretty good if well, I mean I can't really flatter myself. I looked at reference for this thing, but you know it's pretty good if it passes the silhouette test, which means you can tell what it is just by the outline of it. Which once this is completely done, you'll be able to tell that it's a werewolf. So we'll do the claw feet. I'm just gonna do the whole thing, the whole foot. Now let's see. Yeah. Okay. These are kind of lame claws, but what are you gonna do? Yeah. Okay. No. Right. So that looks bad. Yeah. So yeah, like you can see, you can tell this is a werewolf. I maybe shouldn't have kept the exact size feet from the other one because these feet are pretty big. So it's okay. We can make them smaller though. Actually, I want to make them kind of like this. 1, 2, 3. And that looks pretty good. A little weird, but it looks good. Okay. So now we're just going to do the face. Which I gotta say is the easiest part, probably, for whatever you're drawing. And a lot of people struggle with faces, like I struggle with faces too, but um, it's definitely easier than drawing an entire body, especially if it's just an isolated face. It looks faces usually look way better by themselves than they do um, on like a body. So like for instance, whenever you see like a portrait that somebody drew, um, usually it's just a bust, right? So um, it's just the top of the person, like it's just their head. You know, it's not uh, their entire body, and that's because well, for one, it's easier, less work, and takes less time, and the person has to sit there for a long time to get the picture taken, but also because they look better. If you aren't really good at proportions, then you're probably going to have a really bad painting of somebody's entire body or drawing in comparison to just the face, because the face you don't really have a reference to go off of for how big the person is. So That's just an example. Anyway, so yeah, I think this monster's kind of coming to an end here. It's kind of, we'll do the rib cage lines. A little bit of underneath this thing here. We'll do the ab lines. And then we'll grab in this. And just a hint of these lines. Since there's fur. Okay. And that's that. That's a really shitty werewolf. Yeah, no. I can't be done with that. That's bad. We'll do the this here. And we'll do this. Separate the feet off of the feet off of the legs. It's more line arty than I was expecting to draw, but that's fine. Okay, so actually, I want to do sort of a, no, that looks really bad. Okay, there we go. All right. Well, what are you gonna do? I don't know. And okay, they're kind of like monkey hands, but whatever. I'm just gonna end it there, and I don't know. I guess we'll see next time I try to draw something. It'll hopefully turn out better than this, but what are you gonna do? I don't know. Thanks for watching, I guess, and I'll see you guys in the next one.